All right, so welcome back to Coach Cove's B-Ball Breakdowns. As always, I'm Coach Cove. Today we got another NBA playoff film review to take a look at. The first game we're going to be breaking down is the Cavs vs. Knicks, Game 4. New York was able to jump out to a 3-1 series lead at the Garden. We'll check it out. The next game we're going into is Miami vs. Milwaukee. Jimmy Butler and the Heat. We're able to go up 2-1 on the Giannis-less Bucks. So we'll take a look at that one too. And the final game we got is Brooklyn vs. Philly, Game 4. Philly ended up sweeping Brooklyn in Brooklyn. So we'll take a look at that one as well. So on each of these next two Cavalier possessions, we get to see how the Knicks have schemed up Darius Garland on the defensive end. So Garland on this one, he's being denied hard. And anytime you get a defender who's guarding you off the ball above that three-point line, we call it the read line, you should go backdoor and make that backdoor option, make that attack on the left side of the hoop a threat. DG does go to the backdoor on the second option here, but on each of these next two plays, he seems sort of reluctant to make that left side attack to the hoop a threat. He just seems a lot more comfortable coming off a dribble handoff with his right hand, attacking the right side of the court, even if it is really sped up. Just take a look at these next two plays, and he just seems a little bit like that read line, that backdoor cut should be made much earlier. And DG just seems, like I said, a little bit reluctant to get to it. But by coming off this screen, not changing direction, not changing pace once, he has to gather his balance. He actually puts it on the deck as well. He puts the rock on the deck as well, and then that just times up, like this timing is off a little bit. It allows Hartenstein to get back into a position to guard Mobley because DG had to gather himself because he was coming off with so much speed on this screen. It takes an extra second for him to get to a spot where he can make a good pass. If you watch guys like Dame or like Curry or Luka, Kyrie does this a lot. He makes that they make that backdoor option, that attack to the left side of the hoop, a threat early on because they know it'll free up looks on the wing later on for them. And when you change direction and change speed, that not only keeps the defense off balance, but it makes sort of that attack to the hoop a threat. Those like elite high-level guards are always changing direction. They're always trying to get a step on the defender, either backdoor or coming up. And when you make that backdoor option a threat, that attack to the left side of the hoop, in this case for Darius, that's going to free up your look on the wing because once that has to be respected, then you can just pop out to the wing and you have your step that way. Another thing that it does is it keeps you, say if Darius faked backdoor immediately, say he's coming up off this handoff, but then he fakes backdoor, then he gets his step on quickly. He doesn't have to come off with as much speed and as much pace, and he can catch this pass in more of a triple threat position, be more squared up to the hoop, and have yourself ready to shoot, ready to pass, ready to dribble much earlier than you can by coming off just one speed the entire way.
The ball for Steph. The juke moves without the ball. I'm going this way, I'm going that way. You have no clue where I'm going.
So I'm going to pick on Isaac Okoro here for a minute. This is a really confusing play right here. I don't really know what he's thinking. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking that I'm going to hit Osman right here, but Osman's already going and quickly is nowhere near him. So this screen does nothing. Brunson's switching, and now you're just letting yourself be guarded because you stood in the middle of the court for no reason. You can see Okoro comes right down and he's setting the screen on Osman, but, you got to have a little bit more recognition, a little bit more awareness to just slip this screen instead. Once you see that quickly he's not reacting to Osman's cut, you got to slip. You got to slip to the corner and make yourself a threat. Do something down here to keep yourself from being guarded by, so easily. You either got to pop up here or you got to slip somewhere to the ball, and because right now no one's guarding you. You got to have a better court awareness, better recognition to realize that once Quickly isn't reacting to this, Brunson's going to end up taking him because Quickly's way out of position. He's not going to be able to get back to Osman at this point. And Okoro should know that. He just cut out to that side of the court, and he should see that Osman's cutting. So once he sees that Quickly's still flat-footed, he thinks that Osman's still in the corner. Now he realizes Okoro should have already been made a cut, either to the corner or up to the wing, to have that slip available. And that just doesn't happen. And then on this one, Isaac Okoro, you're in the game for one reason, and that is to stop Jalen Brunson. I said it in a previous video, but you're way too close to Brunson right here. You got 2 feet above the three-point line, and you're not forcing him to be a shooter. Our scheme right defensively, what the Cavs want to do is keep Brunson out of the paint, keep him from hitting layups, and keep him from getting dump-off dimes. Make him a shooter. Make him drop 50 on your head. Give him. I'd like to see you give him a little bit more space because you're just going to get beat as soon as he makes that. His first step is so quick that you're just going to get beat. You have to give him a step and make him pull up. He gets his buckets by getting in the lane, and he hurts us even more so by dumping off of that. So our main priorities should be to keep him out of the lane, make Jalen Brunson a scorer. And in order to do that, you have to give him a step on the defensive side of things. Okoro, he not only starts way too far up, but once Brunson gets going downhill, Okoro is still way too close to him. I'd really much rather see Brunson pull up and hit this jumper 10 times because he's only going to make it 5 out of 10 times than get to the hoop right here because he's gonna hurt us from this spot much more than he's going to hurt us from this spot. And on this one, Mobley's forced to step up early, which takes him out of rebounding position, and then they get the easy 2 for Mitchell Robinson, who has been killing us all series long. And so we'll just watch it one more time. Isaac Okoro, this is the best player on the court right now. You got to know he's going to go to his left hand. And we just don't make the adjustment well enough right here, and Okoro gets beat off the quick first step. So if you were watching the game and you were wondering why the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau benched Julius Randle, it was because of plays like this. We'll take a look at 3 plays right here early in the third quarter, early in the second half, where Randle just pretty much lets the defense go right by. This time, Julius Randle's on the block, and Darius Garland's getting a screen from Allen. Watch Randle. He takes one step in the lane, really doesn't make any sort of contest, doesn't look like he's willing to step in front of Jarrett Allen at all. And that's just not something you can have on the court during the playoffs. On this one, again, really Randle just unwilling to get out of that restricted area, unwilling to put a hand up on Garland, who's coming in for the layup. You can see Barrett is making the right play. He's dropping down to Mobley, and we're on Randle right here. Randle is the reason that this bucket is so open and that DG can just get to this spot of the court and have an uncontested jumper. Because you can see Barrett has dropped to help. So Randle should be off Mobley once Darius comes off this, and he should be stepping up. But like I said, he just refuses to get out of that restricted area. Barrett is dropping to Mobley, and Karis LeVert's open on the corner for the kick. But no one's guarding DG. Thibodeau was not liking the effort and the body language as well. I mean, he's just walking back. So if you're wondering why Randle got benched, it's really not that much of a question mark because he's not really doing much out there to help the Knicks. Jarrett Allen has just been getting bullied all night. Basically, Mitchell Robinson is having his way with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, and that's why the Knicks are up 3-1 in this series. But I want you to pay attention to sort of his timing when he gets in and gets physical with Jarrett Allen. So the ball is up, and it's pretty much nearly at its peak. It's still going up. As soon as it starts coming down, Mitchell Robinson is getting his action, getting physical with Jarrett Allen, and getting separation just at the right time. So if this shot misses, I'm pretty confident Mitchell Robinson is getting this board. He's been hurting us on the offensive end of the offensive glass for the first 4 games. And a big reason that is because he times this separation up really perfectly. We'll see it in full speed, but when he gets this shove and starts to get separation, it's right when the ball is coming down. So it hits his peak, and then he gets his separation, he gets his shove out, and that's what puts him in a good spot to rebound. Garland has come out hot in this second half. And the reason that this play looks so easy is because they have to respect Garland as a driver. So they really blitz this ball screen right here. Randle has to respect it, and he's just trying to stall to let Barrett get back in front. And Darius Garland does a good job to get it out early. So once he sees that the double team's coming, he does a good job to find the open guy, and then Mobley is just a touch pass to Allen for the easy look right there. With 30 seconds later, the same thing happens. They got to respect Garland as a shooter now. So Brunson closes out quick, and Robinson steps up. And that leaves Allen open for the lob underneath. Really pretty lob there. I mean, watching Robinson just have it miss his fingertips by inches. Really sweet play to watch. But like I said, the reason it happens is they got to close out. Got to put a hand up. Brunson's pretty much flying out past him. And then once Garland gets into this spot, Mitchell's got to step up and at least try and contest the shot. And that leaves Allen open on the backside. And again, the rotation is just a step late. Brunson's trying to do anything to influence what Garland's doing. He's pretty much given up this lane just to try and stay in front. And he isn't able to. But I want you to watch just how much of an acrobatic finish this is here from Garland. So he leaves off 1 foot right here. He's got Randle and Robinson in front. And so he leaves off 1 foot and he finishes. He gets up higher than each of them. Well, Randle doesn't jump. And another reason why he got bent. He's just not trying. But he leaves off 1 foot, and look at how much ground he covers as he's jumping through bodies. That's an acrobatic, high-level, you're not going to see a high school most college guards aren't going to be doing this. This is huge. So he leaves off outside of the restricted area, off 1 foot, goes up with the right, and then he's jumping through Robinson, through Randall, and he lands all the way down here on 2 and gets the layup to go. Just one more time, really high level, really acrobatic finish here from Garland, and there's not a whole lot the Knicks can do to stop him right now. So we're into the 4th now, and this is a really another just tough shot here from DG, able to get the layup to go. But just to break it down, he starts with the ball screen. He comes with the ball screen, and then he gives a little hezzy here to Hartenstein. He's got Hartenstein retreating right now, and he's got Barrett on his hip. So he jumps into Barrett. He does this little pro hop, which really does 3 things. So it gets him separation from Hartenstein. It keeps Barrett on his hip, and then it gets him balance. It allows him to get his balance. So once he gets to this pro hop, he's got Hartenstein retreating. He gets to the pro hop so he can get separation, so there's more space created for him to get a shot up. He keeps Barrett on his hip, and then he also is able to land on 2 feet and get balance. And so from there, he just rises and elevates, and he puts in a really, like I said, just a tough shot. But if you watch this play all the way through, if you watch all five guys on the offensive side of things, it's probably the right play anyways, even though it's a really difficult, hard-looking shot. So he comes off this. Spida's really being denied by Josh Hart. Josh Hart's been doing a good job on him all series. Obi Toppin staying pretty attached to Chetty out here. He's a shooter. And then Brunson is also pretty attached to Karis LeVert right here. The only other play that could have happened off this action was to hit Allen really early. Allen is pretty much open right here, but the pass would have had to go over Hartenstein and Hart. DG makes the right decision, I think, because he's also got Jared Allen, also has Brunson kind of stopping him from the lane. But Brunson's really good defender right here. He's not too far from LeVert, and he's also influencing Jared Allen right here. So, like I said, I think DG makes the right decision and takes a tough shot. Able to get it to hit. So the Knicks run this Hawk 13 strong set each of the next 2 possessions, and they've been running it all night. I got the name from Half Court Hoops on Twitter. And actually, they cut off the first screen, but Barrett sets one on Hart to go through, and then Hart gets the double on the opposite side while Barrett is setting a ball screen for Brunson. 2-man game over here, extra shooter on the wing over here for Hart. And they get 2 easy buckets off of it right here. Barrett gets the layup right here. And then the very next possession, they go right back to it. And the Cavs actually defend it pretty well on this one. Here we go. So Hart's already gone. Now we're getting the ball screen here, and we really do a good job of blitzing it. We're forcing Brunson all the way back to the half-court line. He's retreating pretty hard. Mobley's going to come up and deny this. Donovan's right here denying this, and we're good. Now, Hartenstein does the right thing by crashing hard to the middle of the court, but Jarrett Allen, there's no reason to guard Hartenstein on this 3-point line. Brunson makes the right play by going to Josh Hart. He's able to split the D right here. Gets into Garland and then gets separation from Chetty. Pretty much just takes Chetty out of the play. But Jared Allen, you're playing 2 right now. There's no reason. Hartenstein ain't a 3. I looked it up. Hartenstein has 8 threes on the year, and the last one came in January. The man hasn't taken a shot from behind the arc in months. He hasn't hit one in even longer. So there's no reason that we're crashing all the way up to Hartenstein at this 3-point line. He's not a threat. The threat is you got to play 2. What I mean by that is you kind of stunt. Like if the pass goes to Hartenstein, if you leave him open and he gets the ball, then you're just stalling and waiting for another defender to come help you out, and that's going to be Mobley. Once this pass is made, Mobley's already crashed, and he's already shading that way. And Jared Allen, he's just way too far extended. So moving right along into this Miami versus Milwaukee series, we're going to take a look at sort of how the Bucks are playing the ball screen right here. They're playing drop coverage, which basically just means we're going to keep the big guy in the paint as Bam goes out to set the screen on Strus. So Strus is playing against Grayson Allen right here. And now these 2 are both coming down hard to the lane right here off this pick and roll. Now, I want you to watch Brook Lopez's feet right here. He keeps them moving backwards even as these 2 are coming down the lane here. And the reason that I don't really like that is because, you can tell that he's kind of shading Bam. He's most worried about this bounce pass and then meeting Bam at the rim. But at this point, when he decides to jump to affect this shot, he takes himself out of position to get the rebound. And so, in my opinion, you either got to step up and stop retreating right here and put a hand up and try and stop Strus from hitting this layup, because a good guard like DG or Kai or Marcus Smart or Luka, they're going to hit this shot much more times than they're going to miss. So you got to make a decision. You got to take one of these 2 looks away and not just kind of get caught out in the middle, because once you are caught out in the middle, once you go to try and affect this shot, you take yourself out of position to rebound, and that's what I mean by getting caught out in the middle. And Bam actually is able to get 2 rebounds there. Brook Lopez really not doing a whole lot on the defensive side of things. And I told you guys, I thought he was going to struggle down here without Giannis, and we can really see that that is the case. If they can't figure it out how they're going to defend the Heat without Giannis, then the Heat are going to come away with this series. So this Miami's possession is just about really taking what they're given. Again, we're playing this drop coverage, so Brook Lopez is most concerned about Bam in the lane, and he's backing up as Jimmy's coming down to the block. So Jimmy just takes what he's given, he gets to his spot, rises up, and hits an easy little floater over Brook Lopez because he's unwilling to leave Bam. He can't leave Bam. And like I said, the Bucks are really struggling defensively how to play Jimmy and Bam. So once Lopez is sinking, all he has to do is get to his spot and rise up and hit the shot. So the reason that Milwaukee plays this drop sort of coverage is because, 1, Bam is a threat, and 2, Lopez can't really do any much guarding on the perimeter against anyone. He's not coming out of the paint. The reason I really don't like that coverage, though, is because you kind of have to choose between giving up open looks in the lane and giving up open three-point looks, though. So when you choose to drop this coverage like that, off the ball screen here, Lopez is just sinking. You're either going to give up this shot for Vincent, or if you step up, that means that Middleton then has to drop and take Bam, which means that you're giving up a three-point look right here. Portis is going to have to come over here and play 2, and you got 3-point looks for Love and Strus right here. It's interesting to see how Lowry, really good high-level veteran guard, attacks the D when Lopez is not on the court. So Lopez is out of the game on this one, and he actually rejects the ball screen here. So he doesn't want to go at Lopez he doesn't want to go at Portis in the sink coverage. A lot of times he will attack Lopez in the sink coverage, but this time he decides to go around Portis. He goes opposite Portis. Pretty much takes the drop coverage out of the equation on this one. So Portis crashes to the middle, but this is really like a high-level. This is the play that a lot of like Jalen Brunson, KD, AD, they all do this. So he gets to the middle of the court, and he's dribbling with his right hand right now. So he's attacking right, and then he stops, he plants, and he uses his right. He lands on 2 feet. He uses his right foot for the pivot, brings his left foot back underneath of him, and then fades away with the right. So what I really like here is that he uses his right foot as the pivot. He gets on 2 feet, and then he uses the right foot as a pivot. He's falling him back away from the hoop, turning him away from the basket. And then he just rises up, and he's able to keep square to the hoop because he used that right foot as a pivot and just rise up and hit this shot. So to contrast that from Kyle Lowry, we're going to watch the footwork of Bam right here. You see he's got his back to the hoop right now, but he's using that left foot as a pivot. He's trying to do the same turnaround fade motion. So Kyle Lowry was attacking right. Bam is also attacking right. And now when he lands on 2, he's got his back to the hoop. I would rather much see him use that right foot as a pivot. He decides to spin back middle instead of falling away towards the sideline. But the reason I say that I'd rather see him use that right foot as a pivot is because now he isn't as square to the hoop as Kyle Lowry was on that last one. You can see this left foot pivot, lands on 2, and then he gets this pivot, but he's got to kind of shoot and go across his body. He's not as balanced as Kyle Lowry was with that right foot already square to the hoop. He can just rise up over that right knee and kind of flush it that way. But Bam, he pivots with his left, so he has to force it. It's off balance. It's almost shooting across his body after he rises up, and it's just more of a difficult shot to hit. This is a good example of what it looks like not to shoot across your body. Here's Bam again, getting into Bobby Portis right here. This time he's going left, but you see he's got his right foot sort of closer to the hoop rather than having his left. And that allows him to keep squared up and, again, just shoot right off that right side rather than having to shoot across your body. Just a much more balanced and powerful shot from Bam that time. If he wanted to spin back to the hoop, go baseline, then you would make that right foot a pivot, and then he could just spin to his left side and have a right-handed layup. But he decides to fall away from the hoop, and it's a good job to shoot right over that right side. And he's able to get this one to go because he's just more square to the hoop, more balanced with his shot. So moving into our next game, we got Brooklyn versus Philly, Game 4. Good rotation on the offensive side of things for the Nets on this play. You see Mikal Bridges is able to get around James Harden, take him to the left side. So we got Nick Claxton, who's also moving to his left. Anytime that the ball is dribbled to the left or right side, the offense should be shifting with the ball. So if it's dribbled along the left hash or the left side of the lane, then everyone on the perimeter should be moving left. Everyone on the block should be coming up and moving left. And vice versa for the right side. So you can see right here, Dinwiddie gets going left, or I'm sorry, Mikal Bridges gets going left. And now we got Claxton coming up. These guys are both going to go left. Johnson can re-spot up if he would like. But this 45 cut from Dorian Finney-Smith is a good job right here. By 45, I mean he's attacking from the top. We got baseline here, and the cut's coming from this angle right here. By having this cut, you not only are able to get a look as possibly getting a dump down option, but you also just set yourself up to make a winning play. So you can see Dorian Finney-Smith, he makes a winning play by hitting Tobias Harris right there and keeping him from affecting Nick Claxton's shot. So similar deal here. Again, it is Bridges going to his left. You can see PJ Tucker on the weak side. He's a little bit more concerned about helping James Harden on Nick Claxton right here because James Harden's undersized and Nick Claxton is a threat in this position. So PJ Tucker is kind of falling asleep on Cam Johnson, but Cam Johnson does a good job to read his teammate. He actually goes back to the corner and re-spots up for this open look. But the timing of it is what really makes this play work. So once Mikal Bridges kind of gets to this point of no return, he's nearly under the hoop. It doesn't really look like he's going to have a shot at the layup right here. And that's when Cam Johnson recognizes that his teammate needs him to re-spot up in the corner, that he's getting into a little bit of trouble, and I'm going to have this kick option open for him. So really good timing, really good awareness there from Cam Johnson to, once my teammate gets to this point of no return with the ball, you're going to hear me say that. Point of no return, just basically too far underneath the hoop to make a layup. Then I'm going to flash back to the corner and have this open look ready for him on the wing. So on this one, Dinwiddie is really channeling his inner Marquise Noel early in this first quarter. There's a lot that's running through Dinwiddie. He's really being a playmaker for the Nets early on in this one. And they just missed the lob attempt there for Claxton. But I kind of mentioned Marquise Noel because the same way that Marquise Noel is so good at beating you as soon as you're out of position, that's what Dinwiddie's able to do a lot early on in this one against Philly. It's really a good job, sort of like Darius Garland in the first clip that we watched, to just read multiple levels of the defense in a really short amount of time and then make the right play as soon as you can. So he's coming off this screen right here. He's coming hot and heavy with his right hand. But the first player he's reading on this second level is going to be Tobias Harris right here. And he can see that, Tobias is kind of in this lane. I'm also getting help out here off Seth Curry. So I don't really have a lane to the hoop right here. But the reason I say that Tobias Harris is really important is because whatever Tobias Harris does dictates how you read PJ Tucker. If Tobias Harris is staying more so in the restricted area in the middle of the paint right here, then he's going to be able to affect Nick Claxton's shot, and I'm not going to be able to go there even if PJ Tucker steps up. But he reads Harris first and sees that he's really shading out here on, I think this is Joe Harris, who's a good shooter. And then that enables the read on PJ Tucker. If PJ Tucker steps up, then I'm going to have this lob to my buddy Nick Claxton down here on the block. Once Tucker steps up, Harden's the only one left to drop. And even if he does drop, he's not going to be able to get there in time because this lob is just timed up really well. It's too good. Just unfortunate there that Nick Claxton couldn't really hammer this one home. So this is a double off-ball screen for James Harden coming out of the corner. And Mikal Bridges has to fight over at least one of these screens. I mean, it's just way too easy of a look for James Harden. That dude he's a knockdown shooter. I mean, we all know what James Harden is about. Big-time offensive threat, and to just go underneath both of these off-ball screens is unacceptable when you're playing against a guard as high level as James Harden. So I've watched this play a couple of times, and I've been trying to figure out how James Harden make that play look so good, make that pass look so good. I mean, he throws it so close to Bridges right here that Bridges could probably sniff the ball as it's going by him. This feed is delivered on time and rhythm and in the perfect spot for Paul Reed to just go up and finish it. But I'm more concerned about Mikal Bridges on the defensive end right here. So he comes off the screen, James Harden, and we're blitzing it. Maybe we're getting a switch. Either way, one of these guys has to drop down, and if they don't, then Cam Johnson's the next man up to stop the ball. None of those things happen, and Mikal Bridges is turning back to the middle. I think that he's looking for help from Johnson, or he thinks that someone else is maybe coming up to take Paul Reed. It's just a bit of a confusing play there to watch Mikal Bridges turn back to the perimeter rather than taking the guy who's on the roll right here. And this is actually sort of the same deal here. It looks like we have no talk, no communication, no plan as to how we're going to guard this ball screen. And James Harden is able to just whip it through to Paul Reed for an easy layup. I mean, again, just lazy defense here from Mikal Bridges. He gets screened and he's not guarding anyone. He's behind the play. He doesn't get himself back in the play. He doesn't really do anything to hustle up and get himself back in the play, get in a passing lane. and he takes himself out, and it's an easy layup for Paul Reed. It just doesn't look like we're communicating. It doesn't look like we have a plan against the ball screen. What he has to do instead is you have to recognize when you're beat. On the last two plays, Mikal Bridges has been beat off the ball screen, and I mean that's fine. It happens, but when you do that, you have to recognize, okay, Nick Claxton is in front of James Harden. He's going to take the ball. That has to be, like, I have to change my responsibility on the defensive end. My responsibility is now to sprint back to the paint. And if he would have done that, he might have been able to stick in this passing lane or at least have the help come earlier. If this is a more contested pass, then maybe Dinwiddie can step up a little bit further and not be in the restricted area. And then we're forcing an extra pass to Tobias Harris, which is always what you want to do on the defensive end. And maybe if we sprint back to the paint, Mikal Bridges is in position to take this extra pass away from Tobias Harris and we get a steal or something like that. Just really not competing well down here at the end of the game for the Nets. And, yeah, their season ends on this one. Now, I understand the context. You're in the last 3 minutes. You're down 11. You need a steal pretty much. But still no reason not to, try and sprint back to the paint and make a defensive play. Yeah, that's all I got for this film review. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are learning something. Hope these are doing something for your game and just always trying to get better. So keep staying tuned. We got more NBA playoff film reviews coming up. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching.